Okay, it's not Halloween yet, but it is spooky season, and I couldn't come up with a better video to try this in. Since the identity of the sun god is revealed in this video, I was kind of hoping we'd get a little more time, at least like another chapter to wonder, I wonder who this is. No, people figured it out already pretty quickly, unfortunately. Based off of shoes, apparently. For some of the things that I've seen. We already know the identity of the sun god. I'll get to that later, of the quote-unquote sun god. I'll get to that later in the video, when we get to that in the chapter. But, yeah, I'm a cat. How do the antlers look with the cat? No. Okay, the hood's coming down because that's kind of annoying. Okay. Slightly better. Slightly better. Just a set of eyes on my chest staring at everybody for the rest of the video. I can work with this. There, that'll work. I don't even know if they look like eyes anymore. It looks better if you can see the whole thing. But then it's not comfy for me. That can come off. And the antlers can go back on, because somehow those are more comfy than that. At least for this circumstance. Maybe I'll wear it again for something else, but that's what I'm going to do for the moment. So, costume change. I like these antlers, actually. I kind of like these. They're a little more festive, I guess, than what the sun god wears, and they're not quite as over the top, but they work. I could have brought out my Maleficent horns, but those don't quite work either. Okay, so we have Yamato cover page. Yamato is continuing his journey around Wano. He is working his way through Curry, and he has now made his way to Amagasa Village, which, from the bits that we can see in the background, we see like one house, so that house might, so like they might be working on rebuilding Amagasa Village, which, given the fact that they're kind of rebuilding Curry and kind of rebuilding the rest of the country, particularly areas that were very hard hit by Orochi and Kaido, it makes sense that they are working on trying to rebuild as many of the, villages and everything else as possible, because if they can get the villages up and going again and get, people moved out of like the bad homes and stuff like that, and like the leftover towns and everything else like that, like Bakura and everything else, Okabore and Ebisu and all of that stuff, it would make sense that they might want to like move them to Amagasa Village. Plus, if it's like a fishing village, they can try to get fishing going again and everything else like that. But in Amagasa Village, we see Tama is currently is hard at work in her training to become a kunoichi. And we see that she is currently being trained by Shinobu, who has gone back to her normal form. Yeah, that's what crash dieting will do to you. You lose a bunch of weight right off the bat, and then the second you're no longer on said diet, you start to gain weight back again pretty quickly. So, yeah, Aramaki kind of was somewhat helpful, and then we get Shinobu back to normal, which is fine because Shinobu is perfectly comfortable in her own body, so I like that. But we see that Tama is hard at work training. She is working on learning how to do her throwing knives. We also see that she seems to have at least gotten a couple of scrapes during her training, but she is very, very determined to work as hard as work at this as hard as she can, because she wants to become a kunoichi, so that way she can go and join Luffy on his journeys or become somewhat of like a protector for Momonosuke. I know that there were a lot of people who wanted like Momonosuke and Tama to like go and become like, apprentice pirates, like the way Buggy and Shanks were to Roger, like become like apprentice pirates for the Straw Hats. And I'm like, I don't think so. Momo has to, Momo's gonna become Shogun and everything else, and that is what happens, obviously. Which I will get to eventually when I get through the all of the Wano rulers and leaders videos. I will eventually get to what happens with Momonosuke and everything with that. And Tama as well. Tama's going to have her own video in that series as well. But, so, Tama is working very hard on that. And the title of the chapter is Chapter 1129, Living Dolls, or kind of the original way that I saw it translated was like Live Dolls or something like that, because they're supposed to be like, the sun god treats all of these people that he has captured as living dolls for their own amusement. And it is a he for his own amusement. Sadistic amusement, but his own amusement nonetheless, and we'll learn about that a little bit later. So we basically start where the last chapter left off, and it is the sun god is just, rushing through, the village area, his block land that he has made. He is rushing through there and trying to, catch up with Luffy and the Straw Hats and everything else like that, that are, riding away on the Iscat, on the giant cat with a crown. And we see all the civilians in the town are just like, "Great sun god, please calm down. Look, you can see flames from the cracks." And it's just like, the sky is falling. It's the end of the world. And they're all just like panicking and everything like that. And we're just seeing some other giants that we've or not giants, but other, villagers, Vikings, that we haven't seen yet and stuff like that. These guys may get names later. Oda may name them. I don't know. We'll see. Some random person will write in a letter. "Hey, Oda, what's the name of this Viking? What's the name of this prisoner that was in the sun god's thing?" Sven is his name. Okay, sure. So we get through that, and for the citizens of this, of this block land, of this mini kingdom that the sun god has made, they're looking through the back, they're looking through the glass and through the big open frickin' door that is there now with everything burning behind it. And, there's the cracks in the glass in the mirror so they can see the flames. The door is open so they can, kind of look through there. So, the mirror effect is being, kind of destroyed at the moment. It's being destroyed at the moment, so there's that. He's not as interested in that at the moment. He is very interested in, A, trying to catch the Straw Hats that are trying to escape. B, he is angry. The sun god is angry about all the destruction that they have caused, which to a degree, I can't blame him. If I made a diorama that I clearly put a lot of work into, and then someone or something decided to ram their way through it in an attempt to try to, I don't know, just destroy it for the heck of it, I would not be happy either. But I'm not a sadistic giant who likes to wear deer skulls and trap people in a giant block world, because that is not me. But it will be, that's not the way that I work. But we'll end up, we'll kind of get a little bit of this guy's personality in a little bit. So he is just shouting at them, and he's just like, "I shall never forgive this slight, you living dolls. You demolished my temple. You demolished my temple, and my poor servant." And we look behind him and at the destroyed room in the background where it's just the snake is down, the rat is down, the rats are all taken down, the blocks are just scattered all over the ground, the table has been destroyed, the crow, we see the raven's wing and it's probably on fire. It's they're just all knocked out. Luffy and the others very easily took these guys down very quickly because they're not that strong. These things are not that strong. So they were all taken down very easily, and the sun god is not happy. Again, to be fair, I would be ticked off at anyone who tried to beat up Brenda, or who would try to beat up Rainy when I had Rainy, or any other pets that I had. I would be angry about that as well. So we cut to the Straw Hats and riding on the giant cat, and they're, Nami's like, "That guy is way too scary," and Zoro's just like, "He's more like a demon than a god." That's coming from the guy who doesn't believe in God. So there's that. And, Luffy is just having the time of his life with this. The others are taking this a little more seriously. Usopp is scared, and he's just like, "It is okay. is it okay for the town to be shaking like this? I mean, like, you got the giant banging around in there, so that's definitely not helping and everything. And Luffy is just like, all this was really made out of those blocks? So, I mean, like, again, credit where credit is due. Sun God's got a pretty damn good building ability in regards to, like, this whole crafting of this village and the town and the tree and, you know, this whole idea for this, you know, diorama set, basically. Great idea. Bad execution in regards to who he decided to put in it, probably without their permission. It would have been one thing, it would have been very different if it was this giant or a giant was just like, well, we get humans that come and visit us a lot. We should probably make some things that are like, you know, human-sized buildings and places for them to stay while they're here, you know, beds and clothes and stuff like that. So that way they're able to, you know, be comfortable while they're here, at least for, you know, for where they sleep and everything else like that. It's not like they can't still hang out with us and everything. It's just that they might want to sleep in a bed that's, you know, not the size of kind of, you know, their house. Type of a thing. So it's like, it would be a different circumstance if it was, this was being done in a benevolent way, where it was just like, you know, some giant or whatever, or if it was like a custom for like there to be like parts of a town, particularly ones where humans tended to either live with the giants or live near the giants, or where they visited the giants, where they would have like, you know, like a giant's, you know, like a human-sized, you know, set, you know, someplace in town, so that way the humans can get clothes and stuff like that. And, you know, have like, you know, places where they could sleep, type of a thing. That would be one thing. That's not the case at the moment. So the cat is basically jumping over everything because he's just being ordered, like, jump over a cat and everything else like that. There's like, all the villagers are like, oh my god, it's cat. They're like, oh god, help. And Luffy is just like, he must have put a ton of time into it. Let's try to get away without destroying his hard work. I'm like, I love you, Luffy. And as an artist, I understand this. And as a person who would kind of build diorama type things in their room, I understand that. But this guy locked you up and he trapped you and he basically kidnapped you, from what we're going to see. And he has stripped all of you down, put new clothes on you without your permission, and dropped you into this world where there are giant animals that could try to hurt you. So, yeah, no, destroy away. Destroy, destroy, destroy away. And the cat is just like screaming as he's like running through the town. And the sun god, we get this shot as a double page spread. We get this kind of, you know, scale size shot of, you know, the castle, the Big Stein castle up on the hill. And then like part of the village that is kind of being destroyed, and the cat is running through, and we see the giant, the sun god there with his, you know, giant staff with the sun on it and his sun shield and everything. And he's just like, stop that, it's cat. Why are you eating them? And the cat's just like, because the cat's just like terrified. It's just like, I got beat up, I got electrocuted, I had a hedgehog dropped on me. I would like out of here as well, type of a thing. The cat might just be fed up with being in there anyway. So the cat's just running. And Usopp is just like, we can reach the end of the world in no time thanks to this cat. And Luffy's like, huh? But wait, we're going where now? It's like, Luffy, not the real end of the world. Just to the end of this section of the block country, so that way you guys can get out and hopefully into what is hopefully Elbaf. Or at least closer to Elbaf and less trapped inside of a weird funhouse. And Nami just like has the map that she had made, that she had found, that, you know, shows what's going on inside of her, in the diorama in the room and everything else like that. She had that. She's already memorized it. She tosses it away, and Usopp is just like, wait, no, yeah, it's Usopp. I was like, yeah, that's Usopp. And he's just like, you should listen to Luffy. We need to follow the blueprints. He's screaming at Nami. She's like, oh, don't worry, I already memorized it. Oh, okay. Basically. And we hear Nami, and we see this perspective of like looking toward where the cat is running, and she's like, look, Luffy. She's talking to Luffy, and she's like, look, Luffy, you see that mirror? we can see the door from earlier in it. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And she's like, if you look closely, all the clouds are just strung up balls of cotton, which I find hilarious. I find that so hilarious because it's just like, yeah. I mean, if you're in that circumstance where you're like, oh, I have to, I mean, like, yeah, I've done that. Use cotton for snow or for clouds or something along those lines. But it's like, if I was going to put in the work to make this size of a diorama, I would be like, I'm not putting, like, I'm going to, like, paint some clouds around, and then I'm going to find some things that work better than just, like, cotton balls. Because, you know, I want something that's a little more, you know, just cloud-like than just cotton balls. So there's that. I like that Nami's, like, dissing him. And then we see Zoro, and he's like, this place may look expansive, but it's really just a giant's room. Chopper, right? And then Sanji's like, so the horizon only seems endless. And Nami's like, but it shouldn't be much further. We just need to keep pushing forward. And then we get, like, kind of an overview of, like, basically what, like, this diorama room looks like in comparison. So, and we don't quite get the size on this, but we do get, like, an X mark where it's just, like, Luffy and the others are basically, like, at the moment at, like, the center of the diorama part of the room. And what we see is, so, mirrors this end with the giant tree on it that is Yggdrasil, and then the other end is where the cracked mirror is that they came in, where the door was. And then on the other side of that is the room where the animals were and where the sewing table was, where Chopper was being held captive. And we see, like, the knocked out snake on the floor, which is funny, and everything. So it's just like, and we see, like, the town in the middle and everything, and it's just like, you know, this is the town, there's the forest, there's a fountain, this is, you know, Big Stein Castle's kind of off to the side and everything, and, like, the fake forest and everything. And she's like, we've already crossed half the country. So it's like they're kind of like 2/3 through the room, from what it seems like. And the sun god is not happy about what is going on. So he is trying to catch up with them, and he has held up his sun staff, and he reaches into it, and he kind of, like, somehow pulls out a net. I'm assuming it's maybe not a devil fruit power, but just, like, something to do with, like, just the staff itself, or maybe he's got, like, some tricks in it and everything else like that. I was trying to see if, like, according to the shots that we see of the staff, is the staff solid, or if it's just, like, kind of hollow and you can see through it. I can't tell from this angle, but he's got a net feature on the staff, which I'm like, okay, fair. And he's just like, now I see, if you believe those blueprints show everything about this realm, then you are mistaken. Verily, this place is in truth a giant detention center. Giant detention center for what? If this is a giant detention center, A, shouldn't there be actual giants here besides you? B, why are you holding humans here that do not seem like they have actually done anything wrong, or do not give off the vibes of being, you know, mass murderers or something like that? I would not be surprised if there is a jail somewhere on Elbath where they have, like, some cells that are human-sized, or they do something in case humans end up causing trouble and they have to lock them up or something like that. That doesn't surprise me. That would not surprise me in the slightest if that was the case, but if there's a jail for giants, you know, giant culture, they probably have a jail for something. When you look at, you know, Harry Potter, they have a wizard prison for Azkaban, you know, for all of that. I mean, One Piece has its own prison. It has Impel Down, plus whatever else. But, so we see that he's, like, pulled the net out of the hoop that's part of the staff where the sun is, and he's getting ready to, like, slam that down on, like, the Straw Hats that are on the cat. And Luffy and Zoro and Sanji are like, a net? Why is he talking like a samurai? Because he's, like, using verily and thous and stuff like that. So he's, like, kind of doing, like, that older kind of talk, the way that, like, they did in very formal type of speech that they used in Wano. And so a bit of a callback to that. And this could be something where it's like, this is kind of a callback to how certain giants speak in One Piece. and we just haven't really seen that much. Like, this might just be like someone who's like higher born speaks like this, like someone who's like Loki. Loki may end up talking like this, or like if we get to like the royal family besides Loki, for Elbath, they might speak like this, or other like high-born giants might speak in this type of speech pattern. And he takes the staff and he slams the net down on top of them, and it does capture them. And he's like, this facility was designed to ensure no giant escapes its walls, even if you were to reach the outside. Do you think you have a hope of breaking through? That is another dead end. And he's just like laughing. And he's also just like in the process of this, he is just like destroying his own town. Again, his own diorama that he put so much work in, but it's just like he'll just fix it if he needs to. And the net has captured the cat with all the Straw Hats inside, present Straw Hats inside, and we see some of the villagers on the outside, and they're just like, what is going on? And like, I think it's like Luffy or someone is just like, hey, keep running. Cat is like trying to order the cat around. And yeah, because we see like Luffy, and I think that's Zoro, because I think he has swords from the bit of the picture. It's kind of obscured by the net. And you're like, the villagers are like, great, S-Cat, why are you? Are those people riding you? And the cat's just unhappy. And then Zoro and Sanji like charge up their attacks, and they're just like, hurry up and go. And they just like, cut and kick and burn through the net. So the net's not all that useful. The Straw Hats have dealt with things far worse than nets. Although there was the guy in the filler arc, or the little mini filler that they had, like the Little East Blue arc, where that was the tie-in for Strong World, where there was like that weird guy that could eat stuff and then make nets out of it. So I don't know. To be fair to that guy, the coolest one I would say that he did was his water net, where he like drank boiling water, which is already stupid, and then he like spits it out and it turns into a net. And I'm like, that's like the coolest one out of any of them that you do. All the rest of your nets are kind of just very basic. But boiling water net, okay, you get points for that. Your outfit is still stupid with your sombrero, but you get the idea. And the sun god is just like, the metal wires. And he's just like very befuddled that they were able to cut through everything so easily. Maybe something like this has happened before? Probably not quite like this, but you get the idea. And so the cat keeps running, and he just like, this resistance is futile. Ahead is the domain of the mighty ear god. And the villagers are, sir? Great sun god, about the ear god, the truth is... And he's just like, ... question mark, as he's kind of like glaring down at them. And then we cut to where we see what had befallen the ear god in regards to, what Luffy and Zoro and Sanji ended up doing to it. And this rabbit had teeth, and I don't just mean like the buck teeth, like actual sharp razor teeth. And creepy looking rabbit. We're gonna get to see what it looks like in a second, but he's just like, the villagers are just like, we found his body burned to a crisp earlier today. The cause is unknown. We thought our misfortune couldn't get any worse. And like the sun god is like looking down at like the skeleton of the rabbit, and he's just like, and the villagers are continuing, and it's like, then we saw the cracks in the sky. This day is truly cursed. And he's the giant, the sun god, is not happy about this. He's like, they beat it? He is just like befuddled at the fact that they managed to beat this rabbit. And it's just like, no way, that carnivorous rabbit. Okay, okay. In my defense, as the Moon Bunny girl, I am an omnivore. Not a carnivore. I'm an omnivore. I eat fruits, vegetables, and meat, to varying degrees. Omnivore. This bunny is terrifying. They show a picture of it, and he's like, my glut bunny, as in like a glutton bunny is what he's referencing. And it's just like, so less rabbit from Winnie the Pooh, more like Bunnicula from the Bunnicula books, the Vampire Rabbit, the Dracula Bunny, which, to be fair, I've read some of those books. The rabbit is not bad, if I remember correctly. He's just, has issues which come with being a vampire. And also, less Bunnicula, because Bunnicula was actually kind of nice at times. More disturbing, evil Psycho Bunny from Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail. That type of a bunny instead is like the vibes this is giving off in that regard. So there's that. So at first I was worried Luffy ate the bunny. Not the bunny. Okay, it's fine. I don't care. This is a disturbed rabbit. Kill it. I don't care. Type of thing. And the sun god is not happy about this. And the Vikings, the village folk are just like, it was already too late by the time the rabbit was already dead. And the sun god just starts laughing. How lovely, how precious. He's just going into demented cackling at this point in time. Please, dear God, let there be cackling somewhere involved with this character. This character gives off cackling vibes. And he's just laughing and laughing and laughing. And he's just this world is marvelous. A grand tale is unfolding in my miniature garden, taking a life of its own right before my eyes. Before my very eyes, and all the villagers are just kind of looking up at him as this is going on, and they're just kind of okay, what do we do next? And so we see another Viking who I don't think he's the same guy that was the grasshopper Viking earlier, but he does look like he has a sun god sun tattoo on his arm, unless that's just his shirt sleeve or something, but it kind of gives off sun vibes. But we don't see too much else there. And then the sun god just kind of glares down and he's just I underestimated them. This is giving me goosebumps. Verily, evil has spawned and heroes are being born in the world I created. It's you're the evil god in this world, dude. You're the one that put the evil bunny in here and the giant cat. And the hedgehog is a little bit left up for debate, but you get the idea. The cat and the bunny were both clearly eating people, so not good. And then you have trapped the people here against their will, as has been pointed out multiple times already. So, yeah, no. Not good versus evil at the moment, where the Straw Hats are the bad guys. Good versus evil at the moment, where you are the bad guy and the Straw Hats are trying to get out. And he's just and we get this great shot of him standing in the midst of the wreckage with the flames burning around him, because I'm assuming some of the flames have come in from the outside. And he's just history is being made. This is the beauty of my living dolls. A minimalist world, and it's all mine. Oh boy. Yeah. So there's that. And we cut to the villages who are all kind of whisper shouting to each other. They're just this could be our only chance. The escape route is open. Let's run while we still can. Spread the word. So clearly these guys know that they are not actually within this is not actually a real world. This is something that they were placed in, or they've at least had suspicions depending on how long they've been here. And we may get a hint to how long that has been later. But not a definite answer. But they're just okay, yeah, we're gonna get out of here now. Hopefully we can get out of here. I was good luck with that. And Luffy is just watching from the cat as it's running away. So it's what's he laughing about? It's don't worry about that, Luffy. And the sun god is just still cackling, but he's just it's a live drama playing out in the palm of my hand. Hyrule may have recognized you, but I don't. Let's see what you do next. Clue drop. So, yes, I'm aware of who the sun god is, and we'll get to that very, very shortly. But it was the Hyrule reference is Hyrule and his crew. Hyrule is 70-something years old, 80-something. And Gerd is again 60, 70-ish something years old. And then the other members of the crew, I don't remember how old Stanson is off the top of my head, But like we also know that like Goldberg and Road are also like, they're like 63 or something like that because they were born during Big Mom's flashback. Same thing as Loki. So like we get like those ones have all been around for a while, so it makes sense that this giant would know who Hyrule is, particularly with Hyrule and his crew having formed the new giant warrior pirates, and having gone out into the world and probably even like come back. And he like admits here, like the sun god admits here that he's just like, you may recognize him, but I don't. It's like he knows that Hyrule has recognized Luffy as his superior in the form of like Hyrule joining, the Straw Hat Grand Fleet and everything. So there's that. And we cut to Usopp, who is, loaded and ready to fire his lethal green star skull bomb grass. So he's using this pop greens and he launches one of the skull bomb grass, which is a giant death skull thing that just pops up, which causes a lot of damage. It does break the mirror, but it does not get all the way through the wall. It singes the wall, but at least breaks the mirror, so Luffy at least knows where he's going to aim in a moment. And Usopp's like, it's no use. I broke the mirror, but he's like, that wall is seriously strong. And Luffy's just like, leave it to me. Just leave it to me. Like, Luffy's just like raring to go on this, which is just funny. And we cut back to the sun god, and he's just like cackling again. Brilliant. What a chapter. I can't get enough of these weaklings struggling against their fate, their bitter failure, and how despair slowly showcases their humanity. So it's like, they're not really struggling at the moment against you. They already killed one of your gods and ate it, knocked out the hedgehog. They have kind of tamed the cat at the moment. They knocked out your snake, your rats, and your raven. They busted through one end of your mirror world, your diorama room mirrors, and they're about to bust through the other end as well. So, and they broke through your net. So, I don't see them quite as being as weak as you think that they are, because even if Luffy wasn't here, Zoro and Sanji would very much be able to accomplish the same stuff with bursting through the walls and everything else like that and defeating the other ones. Usopp would still be able to cause a ton of damage in the process of all of this stuff. Nami, again, with Zeus, as we're going to get showcased in a moment, would very much be able to, quite survive just fine dealing with all of this stuff and taking out a bunch of these different, animals, and maybe even taking out the sun god depending on the circumstances, or at the very least escaping. Maybe with not as much destruction in the process, but like all of these guys, and like Chopper and everything like that, are definitely all strong enough to like get out of here on their own individually, I would assume. I would hope. So there's that. So he's just like cackling and laughing again about this. And he's just like, setbacks and disappointments. That's the core of character development. Again, what setbacks and disappointments are you seeing here, dude? They are like tackling every obstacle you have put in front of them, even if they are like working together to do so. They are still tackling every obstacle that you have managed to put in front of them. They broke out of your castle. They broke out of the room. A bunch of your pets are hurt or dead. So there's that. And he's just like, again, cackling in the background. And we do get a better look at the staff, at least from this angle. So it is like hollow. So it's like, it's not like solid in the middle. I was like, that was one thing I was trying to figure out for like where he pulled the net out of. It makes sense that it would be there, but I'm just like, where did you pull the net from? So there's that. It could just be one of the features of it. Again, it happens. Nami's Climb Attack has a ton of features. The staff can have multiple features as well. Whatever. One of them is net. One of them is butterfly net. That didn't work well. So he's just cackling in the background again as we see the Straw Hats on the cat just like charging away. And he's just like, this folly is comical to watch, but your valiant efforts move me to tears. I'm glad you made your way to me, Luffy Tasso, Zoro Tasso, Nami Tasso, Usopp Tasso. And Nami's like, he knows our names? And she's just like befuddled by that. And Chopper and like he's still shouting, Son Tasso and Cho Tasso. And Chopper is just like, what's a Tasso? Which is fair question. And in some of the translator notes that I read for the chapter, so the translator note was Tasso, Taso, is an old Japanese honorific suffix that nowadays is used out of affection for like manga and anime characters. So it's like a term of endearment, I guess, but I don't really know the exact what it translates to because like it didn't have one of those for like I was trying to figure out like how that would be like an equivalent to something in English, and I'm like, I don't know, because it's like there wasn't like an exact answer as to what the equivalency was in English for what like honorific that would go to, because like, you know, like in One Piece a lot of the times we will hear like, you know, Sama is kind of like Lord and, you know, different things like that. There's Sama and Chan and, you know, Swan and like all these other different ones that like, you know, were used in Wano a lot and, you know, in other places around in the manga and everything else like that, where they're just like you know, different types of honorific things and stuff like that. And some are for more, you know, close friendships. Some are like for, you know, the way that, you know, like the Tama referring to like Luffy as big bro and Nami as big sister and stuff like that. Or, you know, like the way that like parents are sometimes referred to, you know, different honorifics and stuff like that we've seen throughout the story. But like I was trying to think of like an equivalency for like what Tasso could be, and I wasn't coming up with one. So I'm assuming it is supposed to be something along the lines of, from what the translator note, you know, said, like a term of endearment toward like anime characters, fictional characters, specifically in this case manga and anime characters that hold a great deal of that you hold a great deal of affection for. So like for like us, when it comes to One Piece, or when it comes to Black Clover or My Hero, or, you know, Marvel, possibly Pokemon, take your pick, you know, Sailor Moon in my case, and, you know, other shows and stuff like that are, you know, characters that you have like a connection to or you know, affection for type of a thing. So that's kind of what my thought is with this for like the equivalency, because I didn't find anything necessarily. So they're all getting ready to break out, and Luffy is like, I'm just gonna punch through, and he's like, time for a little Gear Fourth. So I think this is a callback to 2 chapters ago when Luffy first showed up, and he used Gear Fourth, but it didn't look like he'd gone full into like Bounce Man or Snake Man. And it was just like his one fist was all just like hockeyed up and big and everything. And, you know, getting ready to, you know, when they punched the cat, when they knocked out the cat, when him and Zoro and Sanji knocked out the cat. I think this is a callback to this, and I think it's just supposed to be that, like, via just whatever training Luffy has done, and through just like whatever leveling up he did by, you know, fighting Kaido and then fighting on you know, Egghead and everything, that he has just managed to like master his Gear Fourth a little bit more, where he can just like have certain parts go into Gear Fourth and then either punch or stomp out whatever it is that he needs to do, and then pop back out of it so he's not wasting as much energy. So again, it's like, it would be interesting to see how like this type of it would like hold up again. Like maybe he could use these types a little bit longer now, after, you know, all of his training and everything else that he's done, and just like built up his stamina more, type of a thing. So there's that. So he's just getting ready to punch, and then we cut to where Nami and Usopp are talking, and she's just like, hey Usopp, there's no one to blame over a natural disaster, right? And Usopp's like, you mean like earthquakes, floods, and storms? Nope. Generally those things just happen. And given the 2 hurricanes that we have just had here in the United States, both Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton, and please, dear God, people who are in the paths of those, please, I hope that you are safe. We have former members of our church that are down in Florida, and they were safe during Milton, so I'm happy about that. But there are, tons of other, hundreds and thousands and millions of other people who are in the path of both of those storms. And I hope that that all of them are safe and that they are able to repair and, rebuild and everything else as much as possible, get whatever aid that they can. But there's lots of blame being pointed in different directions for things right now because of the hurricanes. So we'll move on from that. Usopp's like, yeah, no, that's that doesn't fall on anybody's head. And I was like, good, because that guy definitely put us through a lot of crap. He's really pissed me off. And Nami is just not happy, so I love it when Nami gets angry. And then we see Sanji is just like, or I think it's Usopp's like, hey, he's a giant, so... And then Sanji just, butts in, and he's, crying, but angry at the same time. And he's just like, I totally get your rage, Nami-san. I'll never forgive him either. I can't stop thinking about how he got to dress you up. I love you, Sanji, but your perviness is just way extra right now. So please... It's been very extra these last several chapters, so please just calm down. And he's just like, I'll grind him to dust with my own legs. I'm like, okay, sure, go ahead. And we hear, I think it's Sanji. He's like, or it's one of the boys. I'm sure it's just like, no, I think it might just be Nami. That's just like, get a grip, Sanji-kun. She's like, besides, I have a feeling he's about to feel some divine retribution. And we cut into a flashback where we're getting a flashback from the perspective of the sun god, and this is where we get the reveal of who it is that's the sun god. And for people who were thinking it was a certain giant that we have met before, well, you were correct. And they do have a connection to Hyrule. So we cut to what is probably just several hours ago or something like that, where a giant crow, who is the Mugen, the crow that the Straw Hats just beat up, had been flying around, and he is bringing back the Thousand Sunny that has those 6 crew members on them. Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, and Chopper are all on the ship, and they're all asleep. And he's bringing the ship down to the guy, and the guy, who is the sun god, who is not wearing any of his sun god getup, is Road from the Giant Warrior Pirates. I mentioned him a little bit ago. He is the navigator, or at least he was supposed to be the navigator of the new Giant Warrior Pirates that were aligned with Hyrule, and were supposed to be part of Luffy's, Grand Fleet after after everything that happened in Dressrosa. We were introduced to Road during the cover story that we got. And so he's just like, Mugen, what have you got this time? And the crow's, delivering the ship and plops it down. And we see Usopp and Luffy and Chopper are passed out on the deck. And the giant Road is just like, hey, this is the Straw Hat crew. But the Giant Warrior Pirates were guiding them. He's like, something must have happened. They've fallen asleep. Wait, if they came from Egghead, did they go through the Sleeping Mist belt? So this is another belt that apparently we get to add to the many belts that are worn by the by the One Piece world, because we already have both of the Calm belts. So this is the Sleeping Mist belt, or whatever the official translation is going to be for it. I'm assuming this is just basically maybe Dory and Broggy didn't realize this, or just in everybody's drunken haze, they drifted off course and went through this mist. And just, so many of them, and these are the 6 that just happen to be on the Thousand Sunny. Because they may have been jumping back and forth between the ships, and maybe, they're well, the Thousand Sunny was attached, it was being towed by the Great Eric, by the giant ship. So it's not like it would be that hard of a concept to expect that maybe Jinbei's the ship's fine. I'm gonna go up and drink with them. The ship's being pulled along. If anything happens, I can jump down and take care of it. Insert absinthe that might be making them hallucinate, which we might get a call back to a little bit later. And just, these are the 6 that ended up being on the ship. And Nami, Nami and the guys and Chopper fell asleep because of this mist, and it may have been like everybody else on the other ship on the Great Eric fell asleep as well, and then they're kind of drift out of the mist and they're all still asleep, and then the crow shows up, Mugen shows up, and he grabs the Thousand Sunny, just like, snaps, bites the rope to snap it from the ship, and then carries the Sunny to Road. And we get this little flashback that is like a mini flashback inside of this flashback, where it is, so we know that, as I said, Hyrule had joined that he had made the Giant Warrior Pirates as part of Luffy's Grand Fleet, so they're supposed to be Luffy's subordinates. And apparently, Road did not like this. And he's like, seriously? And Hyrudine's like, yep. Because Hyrule has seen Luffy. He has seen the way Luffy fights. He has seen the way Luffy acts and everything else like that. So he's been around Luffy. He knows what Luffy is capable of. He got punched in the face by Luffy during the tournament. So he's well aware of what Luffy is capable of. Road and the rest of them are not. And we know that Gerd and Hyrule have been like friends since they were kids, because we saw them during Big Mom's flashback. And then Stanson has a connection to the Straw Hats because he was the giant that they helped freed from the auction house in Sabaody when, with Rayleigh and with Kami and everything. So he's aware of who the Straw Hats are. So he would be perfectly happy with joining Luffy and his crew. And then Goldberg, who was like the cook, but we don't know. The only two things we know about Goldberg and Road is that they were born the same year that Loki was. And that was like 32, 36, whatever it was, years ago when Big Mom's flashback happened. 62, 63 years ago, whatever it was, when Big Mom's flashback happened. So we don't know anything else about them. Road was the navigator and Goldberg was the cook, and Road does not seem to be the navigator anymore. He seems to have ditched the crew. And he may have been okay with Hyrule technically, quote-unquote, working for Buggy as part of the Buggy's delivery service, because, it's like they're not exactly 100% taking orders from Buggy, but it's also they're like proving their superiority, and we're kind of going to get a bit of this hint when it comes to Road's opinion of the superiority of giants over humans in a minute. So we cut to like him looking over. He's got all the Straw Hats, the 6 of them, laid out on like his little work table, and I was trying to see if it looked like specifically anyone together, but I'm like, no. But he's got them like laid out on the little work table, and he's just like, "Tehehehe, this is awesome. Hyrule joined you all on his own. He wanted us new giant pirates to serve you, as if Elbaf's strongest warriors don't follow itty-bitty humans. Hasn't he gotten a shred of dignity? Hasn't he got a shred of pride?" So, Road seems to be of the mindset that just because he's a giant, he is better than all humans. I want to see how well he would stand up against Shanks and Big Mom themselves. In that regard. And I'm pretty sure that if Luffy was able to knock out Hyrule before, during the Cordia Coliseum, that he is quite capable of knocking out Road now. Just given how much stronger Luffy is since the Cordia Coliseum and everything else like that. With all of the power-ups he's got. He's gained since then. And all of that. So Road picks them up. He's got Luffy in one hand and Nami in the other. And he's just like, just look at this small, frail body. Oh, it's my queen, Nami Tasso. And he's just like so happy about that. And Nami apparently kind of starts to wake up a little bit. And he uses, I'm assuming he has like some stock of this like sleeping mist stuff. And he like sprays it on them so they all just fall back asleep. So they're not going to wake up again, or at least not for a while, so he can change their clothes and then appropriately drop them, or quote-unquote isekai them, into this diorama of his. Yeah. And I think that's how he knew to leave certain things with them. Because he knows who they are. He knows that they're the Straw Hats. He knows that Hyrule had like become part of it. Maybe he stayed with the crew for a little bit, but probably not fully. And so, yeah, he did stuff that's definitely not appropriate given the circumstances. Giving any circumstances not appropriate. Um, yeah. So, and we see him just kind of, again, in the flashback, he's like, just go back to sleep. You're in for a surprise when you wake up. So, as I said, it's just like, he knows who the Straw Hats are. So, he probably was with Hyrule and the Giant Warrior Pirates for a little while. To at least somewhat familiarize himself with the crew. And if anything, it's just like, it's not like he can't just, like Hyrule saw at least how like Luffy and Zoro and Robin and Frankie and Usopp fought to a degree. And that kind of explains how he knows what they're supposed to have with them as part of their like weapons or something like that. Like he's like, oh well, he's called Straw Hat Luffy, so he should probably keep his straw hat with him. And that's just like artifact type thing of like keep it with the toy. And then like same thing with like Zoro's swords. That's why he still has his swords. Sanji doesn't have any like weapons that he keeps with him on hand. The closest thing he has is like his lighter, which maybe he let him keep anyway. And then you have Nami who has her climb attack, and he's like, oh well, this seems to be her weapon, so I'll let her keep the climb attack. And then like Usopp has like his bag of tricks that he's like, ooh, I should definitely let him keep this. Like he may have just been like listening to stuff or like stuff like that and like learned about like what the Straw Hats do and everything like that, particularly with him like referring to them with like those honorific of like they're like stories that he's read. And like Chopper, again, he doesn't have like Chopper's closest thing to a weapon are like his rumble balls, and even then he probably didn't have any on him at the moment because he probably didn't expect to need them given the circumstances. So then we cut back to the present, and he's like, "Dee, I see you have no clue where you are. Stay and run wild here. Now you will serve me." And he's just like, because he like senses something, and or he hears like a buzzing and a crackling noise above him, and he looks up, and it's just clouds, black swirling clouds all above him. And Nami shouts out, "Ready, Zeus?" And he's like, "What is this?" He's just like, "I didn't make that." And he's just like, "I'm raring to go, Nami." And she's like, then by all means. And we see like the evil looking Zeus when he goes like into the black cloud form, and the sun god is just like, or Road is just like, oh. Like horrified thing. And then he is just like thunderbolted, just like type of a thing, which is hilarious. Yes, Nami, yes, if I was in those circumstances as well, I would definitely want to find a way to electrocute the person who did that to me as well. So I agree. You're fine. Go, girl. And all the villagers are just like, what? And they're just like, great sun god. So it's just like, they know that all of this is fake, but they have to like pretend to play along. Also, they don't have any other name for what to call him. So there's that. So we cut to the last double page of the chapter, the last pages of the chapter. And Luffy, while all of that was going on, Luffy has just been like raring his fist, getting ready to go. Which is funny. And pacing. And they've gotten closer and closer and closer to the other end of the wall, to the wall on the other end, the mirror. And Luffy's like, I hate to do this, but we're leaving. Bye-bye, Block Country. And he's just like, gum. Just like all ready to go. And Zoro is just like, we're finally getting out of here. Sanji's like, serves you right, you giant perv. You're one to talk. And Usopp is just like, please let the outside be Elbaf. Please let the outside be Elbaf. Please let the outside be Elbaf. Like, yeah, we all are. We're all hoping that too, Usopp. Trust me. And Chopper is just watching, and like Zeus is like, back into Nami's climb attack. And Luffy's just like smiling, and the cat roars. And then Luffy's like, King Kong! And like just punches through, and the shout is, we're free, from Usopp and Chopper. And like we just see Luffy like looking and smiling, and it's just like cut off. So it's just like we don't know exactly what's on the other side of the wall, we'll have to find out. We have to wait till next week. There's no break next week, so we get another chapter, so that's good. And it's just like the editor's note is like, what lies just out of sight? So it's just like, us as the crowd, as the fan base, are just like, please let it finally be Elbaf. We have been waiting so long for Elbaf. Please let it be Elbaf. And I admit, I am one of the ones that is just like, please let it be Elbaf. Please let it be Elbaf. I mean, I have not personally been waiting for Elbaf as long as, other people have been reading One Piece from the beginning, or that have been reading since Little Garden happened. I didn't start until a ways after then. But it's just like, I want to go to Elbaf anyway. I've known about Dorian Bragi for a long time and all of that stuff, so it's just like, I want to see Elbaf. We've been hearing about it for so long. Plus, giants are just freaking awesome in general. So it's just like, yeah, please take us to Elbaf. Please let this be Elbaf that we are going to see next week, or maybe Oda will make us wait another week and he will cut back to the Great Eric where Robin and the rest of where Robin and Frankie and Brooke and Jinbei are with Bonnie and Lilith and the Giants, the Giant Warrior Pirates of Dorian Bragi's crew, where we'll cut back to them next week, and it's just like, we won't cut back to this until like maybe after the break, because we'll get a chapter next week, and then there's a good chance we're going to get a break after that, depending on stuff, probably. Because it's generally like 3 chapters and then a break, and then like 3 chapters and then a break, depending on how stuff lands for, holidays and stuff like that. But it's just like, please let it be Elbaf. Please let it be Elbaf. So yeah, hopefully it's Elbaf. We'll get to hopefully that next time, but, yeah, no, the road thing, I mean, like, I've seen videos that are just like, it's road, or, whatever, and I'm just like, I don't know, I'll find out when it comes, and it's just like, oh, it was road. Well, whoever called that, good for them. I think Tekking's one of the ones that, like, called it pretty quickly or something, for who it was. I mean, like, a connection to Hyrudine's crew is not surprising in this regard, for us to meet someone who has a connection to the crew, but to have it be someone who kind of, like, left that crew is a little bit, interesting. So that's what we have for this. I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye.